Welcome back to another installment of No BS Woodworking, where we give you actionable information you take to the shop and use today with no fluff, no sponsors, and of course, no BS. These videos are supported entirely by our website, so if you find value, I'd appreciate it if you go check it out. Now let's talk about sharpening. And here's the thing about sharpening, there's so much information and so many content creators have said this system's the best, this system's the best, that, this, the other. It doesn't matter. We proved it about a year ago. Check out this video down in the description and pinned comment if you want to find out the science behind this. But today, I'm just going to teach you what matters, how to sharpen, get it done, and get back to woodworking. There's only two things that matter. That's, did you get a burr and did you polish it? So come on in here, let me show you what sharp is and how to do it in about 90 seconds on any tool. Since this is a no BS video, I'm going to tell you the real honest truth is it doesn't matter. And all that matters is your chisel or plane iron sharp? And what is that? That is, which we tested in our comprehensive sharpening test, a chisel or plane iron that shaves paper like this or shaves hair. I wouldn't recommend shaving your hair because if you have more than 3 chisels, you're gonna end up with one bald arm and you're gonna look pretty strange. However, I will talk briefly about the different systems. We have here Scary Sharp, we have diamonds, and we have water stones. As far as beginner friendly, nothing is more beginner friendly than diamond stones, followed by Scary Sharp and then water stones. Diamond stones are great because they are always flat, same with Scary Sharp. Water stones you do need to flatten, and that is very important when you're sharpening because actually this video we decided to do because of a post on the beginner woodworking subreddit on Reddit, where I was talking to a guy who had created a concave chisel, which I'd never seen before, and it was because he had a really messed up stone. If you're a beginner woodworker, highly recommend checking out that subreddit. Like I said in the intro, you should be able to get a chisel sharp in 90 seconds, and you need to do 2 things and only 2 things. That is, you need to get a burr and you need to polish it. And the way you get a burr is you work up through the grits. Now, a chisel that has not been damaged and has not been chipped, you don't need to start at anything more than like your fine or extra fine grits, and then you can strop. It really should take you under 90 seconds from start to finish. Now, there's a couple ways you can do that. You can do it freehand or with sharpening jigs. These are 3 types. Honestly, the most expensive is my least favorite for so many reasons, which I won't get into in this video. But then the 2 basic type are one that clamp from the top and ones that clamp from the side. Both have their merits. I think the only thing that really matters is that it has a large roller on the bottom. That helps you stay square and flat when you're sharpening, which is a key component of sharpening. So we're gonna start by making sure our back is flat. And again, you should only need to touch this up. This should not be something that takes you 10 minutes to do. We're gonna flatten our backs, we're gonna put it in the jig, and then I'm gonna show you how that works. Now, when you're flattening your back, contrary to what some people have you believe, you never need to flatten the whole back. I usually shoot for the first ½ inch to an inch, and the reason is you're never gonna need that much reference area. I hardly ever go more than 1 inch deep on any chisel, but what it should look like is you should have grit pattern all the way through. You can see this chisel here has a little bit of a shinier area where I stropped it, but this has a pattern that goes all the way through it like this. When you rub it on your stone, you should see the scratch pattern all the way across. So it's very easy to do. If you're using a water stone, this is a good time to continually check and make sure your water stone is flat. But I like to do flattening on a diamond stone. And because I'm just touching this chisel up, I'm just gonna use my fine stone, and you just take it and you go back and forth. I like to work the whole stone and just go down the side like this. And if you're going all the way in, that's where you cause yourself a lot of grief because you're just working too hard. So I just did a little tip here, and you can make kind of the similar movement. And when you see the same scratch pattern all the way across the back, you should be able to move forward. See, I'm just starting to get right here in the corner. I've been doing this about 15 seconds. And there we go. We have scratch patterns all the way across. I got rid of the shiny part. I just have a tiny little area there I'm gonna get. Total time now about 20 seconds. And there we go. We got scratch pattern all the way across. Now it's time to put it in our jig and move forward. Now, when setting it in your jig, you need to set it to the correct angle. And like I said before, you should never be doing 25 degrees. You should never be honing this main bevel unless you need to completely redo it because you've chipped your chisel. So there's 3 ways to do this. One is by eye, one is with a jig, which this is the one we sell on our website. If you buy this, we send you digital plans for a jig like this, or this expensive one here comes with an angle setter that you can use to set your angle. Now, I'll show you these 2 ways. First one, by eye, all you do is put it on the stone and you go until the bevel is flat on your stone, and that would be 25 degrees. And honestly, if you're trying to get 30, you just need to tighten it up just a little bit and take a look. It doesn't need to be that exact because you're just doing a micro bevel. If you have a jig like this, what's great is you can put the edge on the wood and then butt it up to your chisel. And what that helps you do is get it square in both directions. So get it square there, get it square there, bam, we are set. And we are at 30 degrees. We're gonna do our micro bevel. Notice we haven't polished the back yet. We do that at the end once we've developed our burr, because polishing is what takes off the burr. So now we're gonna create a burr. And one of the things that really trips people up in the beginning is they think they are out of square. But honestly, just a little bit too much pressure on one side or the other is gonna make that bevel ride up a little bit higher. So if you set it square and you think you're square, it doesn't need to be that dead nuts. I mean, this is one of those things that you are not George Nakashima, and a chisel that is just a tad out of square is not gonna really have a big effect on your work. It is important to try and get close, and as you get better and progress, you will nail that square edge, but if you're slightly off, don't beat yourself up, just sharpen and get to work. So we've got it set square. We're gonna create a micro bevel and a burr. And again, I wanna remind you what that burr looks like. This is the microscope shot, and then I'm gonna show you here, but it basically creates a little wire all the way across, and it needs to go all the way across. So you will feel a little lip under there. If you're not making progress and it doesn't look like you're sharpening the edge, then go down to a lower grit stone so that it's rougher. But the easiest trick in the whole world is just take some marker and put it on the edge. So we just go like this. And if that marker's going away, you're doing great. That's all that matters. So I'm gonna start on my fine diamond stone. We'll go to extra fine, and then I'm gonna go to my 60,000 grit on the Scary Sharp or a Strop. Both of these will get you roughly the same results. All right, now we're gonna start sharpening, and we're gonna get our burr. You wanna make sure that you have some sort of lubricant. A lot of people use water, especially on water stones. If you're using diamond stones or the Scary Sharp system, Windex can be great, or there's some additives you can put in your water. Tormach makes one that makes it so that the filings don't rust. You're not worried about the stones as much as the filings. So now I did that marker, so I'm gonna show you by taking 3 strokes here. So 1, 2, and 3, and look at that. The marker is such a fabulous indicator of how you're doing. Use that marker trick. That's gonna make you a 10 times better sharpener on day 1. You can see I've got a perfect bevel there. It's square, it's ready to go. And now we're 20 seconds on the back. I'm gonna do 15 seconds on the fine stone. I do about 30 strokes, do 15 seconds on the extra fine stone, and then we're gonna talk about polishing. All right, the 2 important things here are you don't go to the next stone until you have a burr, and also pressure. You just want even light pressure on both sides. Your fingers should not be turning white. That's not gonna help you at all. Let the stone do the work, and don't skip to the next grit until you have that burr. Now that burr is very easy to feel, and if you look and catch it in the right light, you'll be able to, it'll look like a tiny little wire that you can fold over, but you definitely feel it. You can even take your fingernail, you'll feel it, just a little bump right in there, and it should go all the way across. So now I've done my fine and extra fine, and it's time to polish. And because I know I'm not gonna go back to my stones, I'm gonna take it out of the jig, but you don't necessarily have to. You could definitely strop in your jig. You can put it on there and rub it. You can still do the back just like that, because if you're worried that you may need to go back and you don't want to change your angle, you could keep it in the jig. I'm very confident here that I'm good to go, so I'm gonna take it out of my jig and I'm gonna show you how we strop. Now there's 2 ways to strop or polish, and when we did our comprehensive test, I'm telling you, we tested every system there was, and this is all that matters. You can use diamond stones, Scary Sharp, water stones, Tormach, Shapton, $400 glass stones. It doesn't matter. You got to strop or polish, or you will not get shaving or paper cutting sharp. It's very easy to do, and you put stropping compound. You don't need to do this every time. Just put a little bit. You don't need to rub it in there a ton, or you use something like this Scary Sharp 60,000 grit, which I'll tell you from the test, this got it the absolute sharpest, but again, it doesn't matter. You get to a certain point where there's diminishing rate of returns. So the trick here is, if you're doing this freehand, this would apply if you are sharpening as well, is you feel it until you find your bevel, and it locks into that bevel, and you just lift up slightly. That it's gonna be your 30 degree or your micro bevel. And again, all that matters is that very, very point. So if you're a little bit higher, just a little bit higher than when you were in your jig, that's all right. Again, sharpening should not be stressful. And when you're just getting started, if you take this no BS approach, you're gonna get a great result. So I'm gonna feel with my bevel, and I'm gonna come up just a little bit, and then I lock my wrists, and I'm gonna use my body. So I just use my body, and look, you can see that dark area, that is the filings being removed, and we are polishing. Again, you can see here, It's getting shinier like that. My burr's gone. So we're gonna do the top, we're gonna do this 30 times, and then I'm gonna do the back 30 times, and then I'm gonna go back to this front bevel and do that about 10 times. And then we should be able to test it with paper. When you're stropping, this is where you actually do want to put a little pressure in there. The best strops are thin leather on a hard surface behind it. Again, go watch that comprehensive sharpening test. We tested strops and figured out what the best type was. So there we go. We got a real shiny surface there. I'm going to do the back 30 times, then back to the front 10 times. All right, I just want to show you too, before we test this, polishing doesn't mean you can see your perfect reflection. It does get shinier, and the more you do it, the shinier it'll get. But again, diminishing greater returns. You shouldn't be able to do your eyeliner in it, but you should be able to kind of see the outline of yourself there. And again, you can go further if you want. So we've got this done. I've cleaned this off. You can see our micro bevel there too is looking real good. Let's test it on a piece of paper. So if we did that right, that should be, oh, look at that, baby. It was about 90 seconds of sharpening. Guys, if you stick around, I'm gonna show you the cheater way to strop. Sharpening should not be stressful. It's really just 90 seconds. Get a burr, polish it. You are done. And it's like one of those things, I get the most questions, most people freaked out about it. That beginner woodworking post, it's like everybody's got an opinion, but don't worry about it, no BS. It's easy, no stress, and you will get better at it. So if yours isn't look as perfect as mine when you're done, so be it. Guys, thank you for watching. I've been loving these no BS videos. Head over to the website. If you like this video, check it out. We got a ton of great tools. Now, I'm gonna show you the cheater way to strop. All right, so this is the cheater way to strop. It's just a crappy slow speed grinder. I put a buffing wheel on it, and I just take my stropping compound, just put a little bit on there. You don't need to do it every time. And then it's gonna be 1, 2, 3. You don't wanna go too long because it'll heat up, so you just go 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2, 3. And this was a chisel that just needed to be resharpened, and look at that, just boom. Quick little, I mean, it takes like really like 4 seconds to do. And that's how I strop kind of when I'm trying to do dovetails and stuff, and I just need to touch it up real quick. Guys, stay safe in the shop. Thanks for watching No BS series. Go visit the website, check out the charity. Have a great day.